What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 145th edition of the Sports Reality. My name is Jeremy John, aka the fourth greatest Grenadian of all time. Let me drop the sound effect for you all.
Perfect.
The Little Wayne of podcasts, because I will get on any podcast and hit it with the J train.
Perfect.
Let's welcome my guest for this week. Actually, not even a guest. Let me stop saying the word guest. Let's welcome my co-host, Cousin BigThad. BigThad, what's going on with you, my man?
Yo, I can't with you, man.
Why? What's the issue?
I'm still on the fourth greatest, man. The fourth greatest Grenadian, man. We're gonna have to have a family discussion on this one.
I mean, you all already had a family discussion in the middle of the night and thought I wouldn't see you all slandering my name. Yeah, you know, my cousin mentions how Malcolm X's mother is from Grenada, moved to Canada, made her way to the United States, and obviously gave birth to one of our great civil rights heroes, one of our great role models in the Black community. And so everyone, you know, in the group chat, when I say everyone, Chrissy and Thad, Chrissy, who's been on the podcast before.
Wow, you just wow. There's more. Yeah. There's more. Come on.
Oh, there was probably more that said it. But I saw those two. That's what I saw at about 1, 2 in the morning.
Yeah, that was about right.
So I had to say, look, man. I mean, Malcolm X is a great individual, but I've probably been to Grenada more times than Malcolm X. I mean, and I've only been twice in my lifetime. Like, come on.
Wow, you only been twice, but you're the fourth though. You know
yes, that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
But all right, for real though. But I'm good, man. I am feeling a little type of way though this week because usually today I'll be getting over my hangover from last night. You know, yesterday was Fat Tuesday. Mardi Gras, and didn't happen. It didn't happen at all. You know what I'm saying? COVID kind of messed everything up. And plus, you know, this is Trinidad Carnival week. So
true.
Man, COVID, I think it's finally setting in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we missed that as a family, Grenada Carnival last August. But, you know, that was in the heyday of COVID. You know what I'm saying? It's the end of coming close to the end of the carnival season. You know what I'm saying? With Grenada Carnival being in August. And the start of the carnival season is always Trinidad Carnival in February. Same week with Mardi Gras here in the United States. And yeah, bro. I'm feeling the type of way, man. Like we should be in Trinidad right now, partying it up. You know what I'm saying? COVID's messed it all up for us. Trinidad is not having carnival. You know what I'm saying? They are not having carnival. They are not well right now.
The fact that they are not, like, that they even said, yo, we can't even do this.
Nah.
This is a big deal. This is a big deal.
I mean, you think about it. You think about how much money that Trinidad is not making this week because of all the out of country traffic that comes in from all over the world just for carnival, and they ain't doing it. They ain't making no money. You know what I'm saying? None. It's not happening, bro. And now I'm like, yo, we shouldn't even have. And even if we clear everything up with COVID, nobody else should have a carnival. Nobody, because you can't have a carnival without the start, and that's Trinidad. You can't have a carnival without Trinidad. You can't.
Yeah, that's like having the NASCAR season without Daytona 500. Like, you gotta have the Daytona 500.
Right. So yeah, I'm feeling the type of way this week so far. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, you know what I'm saying, the party time for us Caribbean folks starts now. You know what I'm saying? And we ain't well right now. We ain't well.
Let me say this. I know you've been a responsible person when it comes to COVID-19. Mm-hmm. So I'm not including you in this, but I hope this time now, and look, we are 11 months in from like from like the real beginning in the United States.
Right.
With this pandemic. But I hope this time where the people who couldn't go and celebrate Carnival, I hope and those who weren't acting right, I hope they're like, you know what? I got to start acting right. I got to start holding my friends accountable who are not acting right. And you know what? We got to either, and we'll talk about this during the sports free zone. And just giving you a fair warning, this is a sports podcast, but this week is one of those weeks we're going to actually be in the sports free zone a lot longer than usual. We usually do like 15 to 20 minutes. It might be a 30 to 45 minutes where we're not even talking about sports because there's a lot going on. Combination with the sports world being a little down this week. You know, no NFL for the first time since September. So, but we're going to get more into this about the COVID vaccinations and the news that came out last night about what President Biden's plan would be for that. Let me just tell y'all this right now, and I'm probably going to reiterate it again later in the sports free zone. If you're not going to take the vaccine, you need to stay home, like at all times, with the exception of going to the grocery store, with the exception of going to the bank, with the exception of maybe going to the doctor's office if you need to go for something else. Because we gotta get past this. We gotta get past this. There have been 55 million people vaccinated, according to the CDC. And I'm not sure if that is like completely vaccinated, like they've gotten their second dose, or if that's just first dose so far and they're going to get the second dose. But 55 million people out of 300 plus million people. I understand there's children that won't get it. Fine. But for the adults, yeah, man, we'll talk about it more. We'll talk about it more a little later in this show. We got some stuff to get into. We're going to talk about the NFL news coming out after the Super Bowl with JJ Watt and other trade rumors. We are also going to get into the NBA. Your boy Draymond Green went on a rant. BigThad.
I'm tired of it, man.
Oh.
I want to hear nothing from that guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't like Draymond. You know what I'm saying?
You might like this one though.
Give me college Draymond, not NBA Draymond. I might be all right.
We'll also get to some college basketball, the little bit of college basketball news that I am aware of.
No way. No way.
No way what?
You talk about college basketball?
Well, because
I mean, you were done with it. You know what I'm saying?
I am done with it, but there's some news that came out. Like I still look at highlights. I'm just not watching. Like
I got you.
Or you know, news that's coming out of Duke University basketball. We'll get into that. We'll also get into our sports free zone where we're going to discuss this winter storm that's in the Southwest right now. It's wild out here. You know, I'll hold my best comments for that point. We'll get into the Trump impeachment trial. Britney Spears, the hashtag free Britney Spears.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
And of course, we mentioned a little earlier, we're going to talk a little more about this COVID vaccination a little later. And then we'll wrap up the show with our Black History in Sports. This is part 3 of that segment. So, yep, just want to remind you all to subscribe to the podcast where podcasts are available. And that includes Apple Podcasts, Anchor, what's the rest of the list? iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. You're probably watching right now on YouTube or Facebook. We're also on Twitch. I forgot I had a Twitch account for like a few years. So we're on Twitch right now. So so you can subscribe at any of those places, and obviously subscribe to the YouTube, Facebook, Twitch if you want to watch us. If you want the audio only, you have Apple, you have Anchor, you have iHeart, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and many other major podcast platforms. Let's now get into the NFL. Last week, big news near the end of the week. JJ Watt was released by the Houston Texans Was that a shocker for you, Big Thad, when you heard that?
No, not at all. Not with me. Like I told you, one of my chumps of the week when we couldn't do it because we ran over.
Oh, yes.
Had to do with the Houston Texans and what's going on with that organization, and seeing JJ go up to Deshaun and say, "Hey, I'm so sorry that we wasted your season." I knew then that there was something was going to happen with JJ, man. Like, he's tired. One, he's tired of losing. Granted, he's been injured a lot of seasons, but when he's in there, he's performed very well. Defensive Player of the Year, stuff like that. I know with him, with this release, with him asking for the release, mind you, not just getting released. He asked for the release.
That is true.
And they granted it. And it's so wild seeing this happen. But I don't know what's going to happen, man. I think, me personally, he's either going to go to Tampa Bay, Kansas City, or he's going to play with his brothers in Pittsburgh. That's where I see. I think he wants to play for a championship. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what really think he's going to go to a team like Tampa Bay, the Packers, Kansas City to win a championship. And if he can't get there, he'll probably go play with his brothers in Pittsburgh.
Those are some interesting teams. You mentioned the Packers, I believe. Didn't he go to Wisconsin?
Yeah,
he went to Wisconsin. I'm not sure where he's from, but I know he played at Wisconsin. They are a team that was in the NFC Championship game. You mentioned the Buccaneers. They obviously won the Super Bowl just last week. Kansas City Chiefs. You never know. Maybe he takes a team-friendly deal and you put him on the line with Chris Jones and is it Frank Carter that's still there?
I think so, yeah.
And you try to get improve the defense. You mentioned that he's been injured quite often in the recent history. Last 2 seasons, 9 sacks combined. But I still believe if he's your second or even your third best defensive lineman, that could be really good for your defense.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Mm-hmm.
The expectation was he was supposed to be the JJ Watt that was getting 20 sacks in consecutive years as the number 1 lineman in Houston. Maybe if he's the second or third best, that means your defensive line is going to play pretty well. You also mentioned the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you think the Steelers, I mean, you mentioned TJ Watt, who was really good over the last couple years.
I mean, and, he was second in defensive MVP this season.
Yes.
So, I mean, he could be on the opposite side of his brother, man. It could happen.
We just got our first comment on the live stream. It's my boy Harold Laws.
Oh, this guy.
He
this guy.
Harold,
we have issues, Harold. We have issues, sir.
Before we continue, I was on OSS 980 last night, actually. Real impromptu. I went on. So make sure, not only because I was there, but make sure you all check out OSS 980, Other Side of Sports 980, with Harold, D, Jeff, and Aaron. I was on there last night, so make sure you check out their most recent episode and also subscribe, like I said. But Harold just put steroids, and I know exactly what he's talking about. We've had this conversation before. The rumor's out. Do you think steroids is part of the reason why he's breaking down right now, Thad?
Nah. I've seen those pictures. You know what I'm saying? JJ even put up those pictures. It's like, what did I do? And what was this in high school? What was I doing? You know, like his arms are really skinny, whatnot. Look, we've seen players like, I'll give you a perfect example. Chase Young.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Chase Young, when he was in early years of high school, he wasn't like the Chase Young we see today.
Not at all.
You know, putting in that work ethic. You know what I'm saying? Getting in the gym. I mean, if you want to be a professional, you got to be in the gym, working it out. You know what I'm saying? And you got to think about this. This is 2021. This ain't the 90s. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different scientific stuff going on with these players, man. Players that are a lot more athletic. You know, they're stronger, they're bigger, you know, faster, taller. You know what I'm saying? it is what it is. I don't think JJ's one of them type of players that did steroids. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Barry Bonds did steroids, but you know what I'm saying? We're all going to say we don't know, you know, so it is what it is. So getting that steroid talk from Harold and his blasphemy, it makes sense. It makes sense. I told you we got problems, Harold. I'm trying to tell you, we got problems.
So last night, I actually on the podcast, I commandeered a segment real quick because they were disrespecting. They have a segment, by the way, that they just started, so make sure you check it out. Like I said earlier, but they have a segment now where they go through the Pro Football Hall of Fame and pretty much say who should and shouldn't be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Okay. And they actually started in alphabetical order. So they started going down and they got to Troy Aikman. And it was a consensus on the podcast that he should not be in the Hall of Fame. So of course, you know, that's my man, Troy Aikman. So I had to defend Troy Aikman. So that's why I laugh. And then I also know of our fantasy football league. Harold was our draft guru for the fantasy football draft. Look, that draft was 5 hours long.
Right.
It's on our YouTube channel. It's the very first video. So make sure you check it out. But Harold did a good job. But he definitely said that Frank's team was no good, and Frank ended up winning the championship.
That joint, he said my team was trash. I ended up second in regular season. You know what I'm saying? Come on, Harold. I got to question everything you talk about now, man.
So my cousins now are like, nah, we about to get him now. So we had him on a group FaceTime one time just to have some fun. But yeah, make sure you check out OSS 980. Other news in the NFL: Carson Wentz trade rumors. I mean, we kind of discussed it a little bit last week, but what was new that happened over the past weekend? There was something new that came up with Carson Wentz, correct?
Yeah, I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was it? Oh, the Colts had offered 2 second rounders.
Yes, that's what it was.
2 second rounders. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I remember. I can't remember.
But I had it in the notes, but I don't remember what it just says Carson Wentz.
Right. No, it was 2 second rounders. 2 second rounders, man, to Carson Wentz. And I mean, aside of me's like, maybe the Colts just don't have first round picks to maybe just give him one. You know what I'm saying? They did, because the Colts did make the playoffs, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it wouldn't be a high first rounder, you know what I'm saying? If that was the case, it would be a lower round. But 2 second rounders for Carson Wentz. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's bad. Well, I think it's a bad thing.
For who?
Bad offer. It's a bad offer for him. You know what I'm saying? I think they should at least a first rounder, at least one first rounder, not 2 first rounders. Maybe one first rounder, a second rounder, maybe even 2 second rounders. But yeah, I mean, you still got to think about. Yeah, he had a bad season, but he's had decent regular seasons. I'm not going to say he's had a great playoffs. He didn't win the championship for the Eagles. But he's been solid in regular season up until this year and prior to injury. You know what I'm saying? So he's still a good quarterback, even though he had a bad season. I think that a lot has to do with play calling, him trying to do too much, no running game, offensive line being terrible. So, I mean, Colts, if you really want them, Colts have a decent team. Give them a first rounder and a second rounder. That should get the deal done, I'm thinking, because at this point, the Eagles, they want to get a return, but they want him out of there. They got to get him out of there. There's no way he makes it to off-season training with everybody. There's no way he makes it all the way to that.
I actually thought the offer was good for the Eagles. I don't know why they didn't take it. I mean, second round picks are everyday players in the NFL at this point. It used to be you weren't really sure way back in the day, but now those guys play, and they typically play right away. And with the amount of talent that is typically in drafts, I mean, it's almost like the second round is almost as good as the first round now.
Right.
Now, if they did offer maybe one first and maybe a third, that could have worked. That for me, if I'm the Eagles, I'm taking it too, because at this point you got to get out of the Carson Wentz business. He doesn't want to be there. He didn't play well this past year. You have Jalen Hurts, which, I mean, a lot of this might have been mitigated if you just didn't even draft Jalen Hurts last year.
Right.
But you drafted him, and he played okay. He started out real hot. He had his rookie slumps, but he still was okay. Even at his worst, he was still okay.
I think he did better than Tua. Tua didn't make it through a lot of games. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's the Dolphins, you know what I'm saying? But he made it the first half, and then Fitzmagic came in and did what he does. So I mean, I say that he's done a little bit better than Tua. He's granted Tua has had more games, but I think they're on the same level right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't think one's ahead of the other. I think, you know, he can have a full off season, just like with Tua. They can have a full off season together with their players, and should have better seasons. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't do bad. They didn't do terrible. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. That's fair. Like, I mean, if you had either of those guys as a rookie this year, I don't think you're really hurting if you like missed out on the other person. Like, I feel like if you had either Tua or Jalen Hurts this year, you did okay.
Yeah. Oh, definitely better than Dwayne Haskins.
True. True. You know, that is very true. Other news in the NFL, Chris Doyle. Are you familiar with that name, Thad?
Very familiar, and I can't remember exactly why, but Chris Doyle, I definitely played in the 90s for sure. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I didn't even know he played. When you say he played in 90s, are you talking about like in the NFL?
Yeah. Like 80s, 90s.
He did. Yes, he did play in the NFL. He did. It's crazy because I don't remember him as an NFL player. I only know of him because of his controversy at Iowa the last couple of years, where he was accused by several players of racial bias against black players, also insulting other players on the team for having learning disabilities. Him and Iowa ultimately parted ways. It became a big thing last year. There was a lot of people clamoring for the head coach, Kurt France, to also be fired because how did he not know about these situations? Ultimately, Iowa retained him, I believe. Well, Chris Doyle was hired by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And of course, everyone's just kind of like, hold on, this dude just got fired a few months ago for like detrimental conduct, for racism, and stuff like that, for being prejudiced against those with learning disabilities, right. Also, and then you hire him. So of course the Jaguars got the public shame, and within like 24 hours of the story breaking, Chris Doyle resigns, so he's not going to be with them. It's not shocking that Urban Meyer will hire him because he also hired the guy who was beating his wife in Florida, brought him to Ohio State and was beating his wife there. Yeah. And that's why he ended up parting ways with Ohio State, because it came out that he knew about these things. Right. Also, I just found out something while I was listening to the Bomani Jones podcast for this week. He mentioned, I think it's Kevin Wilson. He was a former head coach of Indiana, and he had similar things where he had an incident at Indiana where he ripped off a strapped helmet off of a player, spit on the player, and punched the same player in the same occurrence.
Jeez.
Yes. And then ultimately was fired not just because of the act. He was fired because ultimately he lied about the situation. So that's why he was fired. Very next year, he was hired at Ohio State as the offensive coordinator when Urban Meyer was there. So he has a history of this. So look, we understand Trevor Lawrence is going to be their pick, who, by the way, had a pro day last week because he's going for a shoulder. He did a shoulder procedure. So he wasn't going to be ready for the Clemson pro day. So he had his own. But it ain't looking so good for Jacksonville right now at the very beginning.
Right.
Some of their coaching hires. Yeah. We mentioned Brian Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
We mentioned who was Darren Bevel? Is it Darren Bevel? Yeah, Darren Bevel. The two offensive coordinators from the Seahawks that were ultimately fired for being not as good as they should be. And then now Chris Doyle, who now parted ways. But yeah, that is it's not looking too good for Jacksonville now. Obviously, things have changed. You can get Trevor Lawrence in here. And if Trevor Lawrence lives up to the hype and they actually are a competitive team, or they even make the playoffs this coming season, a lot of this people will forget. So,
very true. Very true.
Like they say, winning is the best deodorant. Real quick before we get out of this segment, I did see something. Oh, the wide receiver coach for Arizona. I don't know their name, but they said DeAndre Hopkins has the skill set of Megatron, aka Calvin Johnson. Do you think that's high praise? Do you think it's too high? Do you think it's about right? Like, what do you feel about that? How do you feel about that comment?
I don't think it's too high. We've seen what D-Hop has done. You know what I'm saying? Some of the crazy, outlandish plays that has happened over his career so far, which is like, it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Especially like that Hail Mary throw this past season.
And the Hail Mary that was thrown to one receiver.
Yeah.
No one else ran that deep.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And it was 4 guys. He jumped up, caught it, came down with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's had ridiculous plays and stuff like that, just like Calvin Johnson did. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, when you put him up head to head, I mean, you can say no mostly because of the offenses that they've been playing in, and he has a couple years ago to be on that level. You know what I'm saying? But if he had some of the offenses that Calvin Johnson had, and just production wise, I think you could put them together. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's too high. I think he could. I don't think he'll surpass Megatron unless he's there for a long, long time. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, as we all know, like, Megatron basically just retired randomly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of them things. It's just like Barry Sanders. He just said, "I'm done." You know what I'm saying? And moved on. But I don't think it's too high. I don't think it's too high at all. He's out of all the receivers in the NFL right now, I would say he might be the closest of that same type player. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that you can compare. Like, if you would compare somebody, I think D-Hop would be one of those players that you can compare as Megatron. You know,
I think initially when you hear the comments, you're like, Megatron was 6'6" and about probably 230, 240.
Right. He was a big guy. You know what I'm saying?
And of course, Hopkins is about 6'1", maybe 6'2". Probably around, and I'm guessing about these numbers, but probably around like 210, 215. Right. But when you actually talk about like the skill set, the hands, the route running, just the dominance that he has on the game, I mean, it's not far-fetched to be compared to Calvin Johnson. So yeah, I don't think the comment is crazy. It's actually a comment that makes you just think about, how these two guys are very comparable. Thaddeus, you're a fan of the Washington football team. Did you know that the Washington football team hired a new personnel person in the front office?
No. Who was that? Who was that?
Chris Polian, who was the son of Bill Polian, who's had some NFL experience. But his last, I feel like, NFL job was the Colts a few years ago. He was like one of the GMs of the Colts. So yeah, man. So you got a new guy in there. Look, what do you think? What do you think Washington's going to do? What do you think they're going to do next year?
I don't know, because be honest with you, I don't know who our quarterback's going to be.
True.
Like, real talk. I mean, yeah, we gave oh wow, I can't even think of his name right now. We gave him an extension, not Alex Heineke, Taylor. Yeah. Taylor Heineke, we, you know what I'm saying, out of Old Dominion, gave him an extension, 2 years, which is good because we do need a quarterback. It's not saying that he's going to be the starter. It's just that we need a backup. We need another hand in there just in case something happens. I believe Kyle Allen still has a contract, but when you think about it, like right now, we don't have a quarterback here in Washington right now. I mean, we have Alex Smith, but I think he's deciding on what he wants to do. The team's deciding what they want to do with him because he's going to be owed a nice chunk of change. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of the things, man. Like, I think we get a decent quarterback in there, add some more pieces to our offense, maybe add a cornerback or two, or linebacker or two, and then we should have, if not the same type of season we had this year, a little bit better, maybe like 2 or 3 games winning more than we did last season. So I'm optimistic. I'm not going to be the usual Redskins fan. Oh, I'm sorry, Washington football team's fan.
Yeah, how dare you say that?
Know, right? My bad.
I mean, you only did it for 40 years. Like.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh, man. But, yeah, man. I mean, I think Ron Rivera is the type of coach where we have that, where we expect to be better than last season, even though last season wasn't terrible in our standards. You know what I'm saying? It was not terrible at all. We lost some close games. Our record could be a little bit better because of those lost games. Some of them were made on just bad decisions. You know, some were made just on bad plays. But I think we could be better. You know what I'm saying? We have some young guys on defense, even though some of them we got to worry about, like, are we going to pay them that money? You know what I'm saying? Because some of those rookie contracts are ending pretty soon. So it's just what's going to happen. But I think it's going to be a positive year. I'm not saying we're going to win the NFC East, the NFC least again. But
look, I don't think it's going to be the NFC least because Washington's getting better.
They are.
The Eagles, I mean, they're the team that we're not sure about, the Eagles, actually. But the Giants, they got better with just Judge Joe's better than I thought he was as a head coach. Yeah. He got that team to perform at a level that none of us expected, especially after Saquon Barkley went out with the injury.
Right.
And look, if Dak Prescott returns to the Dallas Cowboys, like we can have a situation where 2 teams make the playoffs, you know, this coming year. So it might not be the NFC least this year. It might not. That will end our NFL segment. Let's go now to our NBA segment. And before we start, let's give a shout out to one of our viewers, my boy Jacaro. Jacaro, thank you for watching. Got your like on the stream, so we definitely appreciate it. Jacaro is a real estate agent, so I will get his information. And I will let everyone know at the end of the show where they can follow him if they need any real estate advice or assistance. So shout out to my man, Jacaro. We are now going to get into the NBA. We spoke last week about the plans for the NBA to have an all-star weekend. Well, the mayor, Keisha Bottoms, she put out a message to NBA fans And I understand that the NBA All-Star game is going to be in Atlanta, but please do not come to the city of Atlanta that weekend. Please stay home. What do you have to say about that, then?
She must have heard us. She must have heard our episode last week talking about how we know what's going to happen in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? And that's hilarious. I mean, I sent you an article. I read an article, and it was just like she was like, yeah, she looked to see what happened after the Super Bowl. And come on now, I don't think I've never been to an All-Star weekend. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
You didn't hold on.
What?
You didn't partake when All-Star Weekend was here in 2001?
Look, man, it was 2001. I know I was probably turned up. So
I was about to say you were an adult at that time.
Yeah, how do you know? I might have been doing some stuff that didn't have to do at all with NBA All-Star Weekend. So I mean, that was just a usual. Me in 2001 was All-Star Weekend every weekend. You know what I'm saying? So
my friend.
That was one thing, like, because All-Star Weekend happened when I was in 8th grade, and I was just like, and mind you, I went to, this was at the old convention center. I went to the whole NBA, I forgot what they call it, but basically at every city when they have it there, they have an area. It's most likely the convention center where they have different things going on. And I met a lot of NBA players when I went there. Also, that's where they had the Celebrity All-Star game, was in the same thing. Mind you, side note, I've known this. Brian McKnight could play basketball really well. I know. Yeah. But you know who else could play basketball very well?
Who?
Bill Bellamy. Because him and Brian McKnight were going at it. After a while, it was one-on-one. Like, it was one-on-one. They was just playing. Everybody else was standing around, and they were going at it. But yeah, so I was at the celebrity game. They had an exhibit where at the time 2K, that was 2K1, NBA 2K1, where they just had an area where it was like 50 Dreamcasts at the time. And like you got to play, you'll go there, and if there's one, you just played whoever was there. So they had that there. But the only thing I miss about it was I wasn't an adult to go enjoy the parties. Right. So that was my only thing. Oh man, but yeah, back to Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, I think they wanted to see what happened with Super Bowl in Tampa. We know Florida do Florida things. So I mean, I think from what I also read was that the Tampa mayor had like chastised fans for not wearing masks and stuff like that after Super Bowl was over. It wasn't a problem while Super Bowl was going on, but afterwards he's like, I can't believe y'all didn't wear a mask and all that other good stuff. So I mean, I think she saw that and said, you know what, y'all can't come to Magic City, you know what I'm saying, and turn up with All-Star Weekend. You know what I'm saying? It's a little late. It's a little late now for you to say this, even though a lot of players supposedly some players don't want to do the All-Star Weekend, which I understand. You know what I'm saying? With everything going on, you can't now. The mayor says we can't have fans. I don't know if they were going to have fans in the arena at all or not, but not having them come, they can't enjoy that weekend with the fans. Hey, just don't have it, bro. That's how I see it. Do we really care about All-Star Weekend?
I mean,
do we? I mean, really, when you think about it, take the fans out, celebrities out, being on courtside while the All-Star game's going on. It's not, and you got to think about it, it's not. I mean, they've gotten a little bit competitive these past couple of years, but previous years it was just like I don't know what you would call it. I mean,
it was an open practice.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, do we really care that we miss one All-Star Weekend?
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. And the players have been saying that. Or when I say the players, there have been some notable players, including LeBron James, who, by the way, will probably be there, but he's just like, I don't think this is the time to do it. Also with just how the season's going on, how you're getting the 2 game back-to-back games. Sometimes you're getting 4 games in a week. If you're on those long road trips, which everyone is on a long road trip at some point, the way the schedule's put out there. Also, the second half of the schedule isn't even finished. The All-Star break was supposed to be a time for players to actually get a break.
Right.
Because they announced they just weren't going to have it. But, now that they're going to have it, you're going to have a group of players who are going to be in Atlanta. And mind you, it's not just the 24 guys who make the All-Star team. It's going to be the rookies and the sophomores, which will be some additional people, which would be then the 3-point contest participants will be a few more people added to it. The slam dunk is going to be a few more people added to it. And it's going to be an issue. Got a comment from my boy LJ. He said All-Star Weekend's dead. They steady trying to remix it. So yeah, man. I mean, they've been making changes.
Yeah.
I did like last year where they played to a score.
Yeah, that was a pretty good concept. I did like that. It's like you play to a score, and then what was the other? You play to a score.
It was whoever. Well, because of the unfortunate passing of Kobe Bryant, it was whoever was leading at the end of the third quarter.
Right.
The winning score had to be 24 points more. So basically, let's say at the end of the third quarter, it was 195. East got the lead.
Right.
The target score was 124.
Right,
so obviously the East just needed 24 points. The West would have needed 29 points to win it. That was one thing I did like. But honestly, like LJ said, like you said, the real key is the slam dunk contest doesn't have stars in it.
Right.
Yeah, we have dunkers who are good, but back in the day, the stars were in it.
Right.
Dr. J was in it. Michael Jordan was in it. Dominique Wilkins was in it. Spud Webb, because of his height and him dunking, he was a star.
Right.
So he was in it. LeBron James never done it.
Yeah, that always got
Kobe Bryant did it his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
Like in probably the worst slam dunk contest. Let's remember that. It was so bad that they got rid of the slam dunk contest because of how bad that one was. And everyone hypes up, Kobe Bryant for that performance, which it was fine. It just was, it's all right. And he never did it again.
Right.
But yeah, there's been a lot of remixing, a lot of changes. I do like I said, how the All-Star game was done. And then obviously how you allowed the captains to choose the teams.
Right.
But the rest of the weekend, I mean, it's not. We can miss it. We could definitely miss it. Other news in the NBA, your boy Draymond Green had some comments after a game this week. It was actually about the handling of Andre Drummond of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland Cavaliers are planning on trading Andre Drummond. So he came out onto the floor. They said, hey, we're planning on trading you. You're not playing. How about you go to the locker room, put on your street clothes, come back out? Wojnarowski wrote an article and said, according to his sources, the team, the coaches, or the coach, the head coach, and Andre Drummond and his representation agreed that it was best for Andre Drummond to not play any more games for the Cleveland Cavaliers because they're going with their young talent. Was it Jarrett Allen, who was just traded there, and they're going with him. Andre Drummond still had, before he's been benched, I mean, he had a solid stats. I mean, I think he's 17 and 12 or something like that. Like the dude could rebound, the dude could play defense, and down low he could still score. So that isn't an issue, but they're going in a different direction because of salaries, because of the business. Now, Draymond Green, during a post-game press conference, mentioned that he did not like how teams in the NBA can handle trading players, and then when players demand trades or make hints that they want to get out, they end up being vilified. And he used James Harden as an example, how the media and fans end up criticizing James Harden for wanting out. He also mentioned how fans criticized Kyrie Irving for his sabbatical. And also he mentioned Anthony Davis for his request to get out of New Orleans before he ultimately ended with the Los Angeles Lakers. And he said, look, players got to have more say in how they got to have more control on who they play for in the NBA. And he said that is what the NBA players need. What do you think about those comments from Draymond Green thing?
Wow. That might be some of the smartest stuff I've heard him say.
I told you you were going to like it.
I'm surprised. Let's say the Kyrie sabbatical. Can we stop calling it a sabbatical? Like, real talk. We know he left to go to his sister's birthday party. Let's just keep it how it is. Let's keep it. If we're going to be real about it, let's be real about it. Kyrie wasn't on no sabbatical. He went to his sister's birthday party, was caught breaking COVID protocols, and had to be out. So if you want to call it a sabbatical, go ahead and say it. But you know what I'm saying? He was just out because of that. COVID protocols and whatnot. Secondly, Kyrie, you're a star in this league. If you give the media reasons to talk badly about you or whatever, you're doing it to yourself. That's not the media doing it to you. You were literally doing it to yourself. He's been doing it that way ever since he left Cleveland. He wanted to leave Cleveland because he wanted to be the star of the team or whatever. And he's been really nothing since. You know what I'm saying? So stop that. When it comes to Kyrie, just stop that. All right. Secondly, the thing that gets me is these teams have been doing this for a while now. You know what I'm saying? I understand with AD that, you know, he wanted to leave New Orleans. I mean, hey, it is what it is. But I don't know if it's more of a health thing that they're doing that they're making these players sit, or if these players are just like, hey, you know what? I'm going to sit. But me, if I'm getting traded, if I want to trade or the team wants to trade me, I don't want to sit. I don't want to sit for however many games it takes for me to get traded to another team, because next thing you know, now you're probably not even practicing with the team at all. You're not doing none of that. So your conditioning is going to go down once you stop. You know, you stop playing, you stop practicing, all that. Now you got to get yourself back in the game mode after you get traded, and then you have another setback. Maybe you get injured, you know, all that. So when it comes to stuff like that, man, it kind of pisses me off. But players do need to be treated the same way, whether they're requesting for trades or the teams are planning a trade. I hear they're planning on doing the same thing with Blake Griffin in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So, and the thing is to me, it seems like it's these older players that they're doing this stuff to. I didn't think Andre Drummond was that old. You know what I'm saying? But like Blake Griffin's been in the league for a little while now, but they consider him old, a veteran. So it's just one of them things now, man, that they need to get to a certain level where it comes to the teams and the players. Like, you got to come together and figure this out, because it does seem like a double standard by any means when it comes to this stuff, how they react towards the players reacting. You know, the media is going to do what the media is going to do. They're going to vilify you, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. You're going to be the villain one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you do, you're going to be the villain.
Before I get in my point, to those who are watching right now on the live stream, let us know what you think about Draymond Green's comments about players not having control of their destiny, being held hostage by teams. Draymond Green has a very good point. There are times where players don't even find out they're traded until a family member hits them up, or they go on Twitter and they find out, hold on, I'm not part of the team, before the team has reached out to him.
Right.
There's been times where players get traded for terrible reasons, or something that isn't even like their fault. They're getting traded and they have to uproot. I do believe the examples that Draymond Green used were terrible examples.
Facts.
Because, like you said, Kyrie Irving, say what you want. Even look, let's even entertain that Kyrie Irving needed a mental break, a mental health break. Let's put that into the equation. You still got to tell your team, I need a mental health break.
Right.
The issue wasn't that he was taking the break. The issue was the team had no idea why he wasn't there.
Right.
That was the issue. They never said, oh, he couldn't. They just said, we just don't know where he is. We don't know what he's doing. That's a bad example. James Harden wanted out. Didn't want to show up to training camp. Mind you, this is the NBA.
He was at the short club.
It's not the NFL where I don't have a problem with a player holding out in the NFL. This is the NBA. You're getting paid. You're going to get paid anyway.
Right.
You're out here partying without masks. You're out here in high COVID places, hanging out with people. And now it's time to come back to play. You're not there. You come back out of shape. You're not playing. Anyone who watches James Harden play, you're not playing up to your capability. Another bad example.
Right.
Anthony Davis is the third bad example. The dude was willingly not playing. I'm just not going to play. We're going to the fourth quarter as a tie game. I'm just going to sit out the fourth quarter and not play.
Right.
Just so I can get out of here.
Like
and look,
they still were playing you. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they said, hey, you're going to sit. No, they were still playing you like you're a regular person of the team. And you decided to, hey, I'm going to sit down this quarter. What?
So like I said, those are bad examples, but Draymond Green has a good point. The way teams treat players in trade situations in the NBA, yes, players there needs to be some accountability to the owners for how they move most players in the NBA. Right. The issue really isn't with the star players. It's really with the average players in the NBA. So I actually agree with Draymond on that sense. I just think he used bad examples. Other news in the NBA, let's get to our Washington Wizards update. The Wizards are on a 2-game winning streak.
Let's go.
Cue up the DJ class, tear the club up. We got 2 wins. Beat the Boston Celtics on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we beat the
Houston Rockets.
John Wall's return to Washington, D.C. John Wall had another good game, but so did Bradley Beal, and so did Russell Westbrook. The starting lineup the last 2 games. Have you seen the starting lineup?
No, I have not. Tell me.
Russell Westbrook at the 1, Bradley Beal at the 2, Garrison Matthews at the 3, Rui Hachimura at 4, and at the 5, Mo Wagner.
Wow.
2 wins against good teams. Don't get me wrong. I understand it's 2 wins, but he's mixing up the lineup. So,
and that was the Houston game was the first win when Westbrook had a triple-double.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I believe the first win. No. The Nets, only the 3rd win, I believe, when Beal and Westbrook's been in the lineup together.
Right.
Like that's just wild. Now look, I hope my boy Harold Laws is on here. He has the hashtag fire Scott Brooks. He's been doing it.
Oh yeah.
Now, he had the fire Ernie hashtag for a while before Ernie got fired. Look, ultimately, I think Scott Brooks needs to be out of here. But look, 2 games, Keep it going.
I mean,
Regardless of whatever happens, he should be here next year.
And plus 2 games that they've actually played defense.
I forgot to mention that they actually played
defense.
Like, they didn't allow the opposing team to shoot wide open threes and make them at like a 45% clip.
Yeah.
They held the other opposing team to under 42% in both games.
Yeah, man. It's wild because I was watching and I forgot Matthews was even on the team. But actually, no, I remember the name. I never saw him before.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him and I'm like, who's this guy getting fouls? Like at the 3-point line. I'm like, what is going on here? And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, he's definitely playing defense, but you're doing a little too much, sir. Like how are you getting faked out this much at the 3-point line and getting a foul? Like what's going on here? But hey, I can't be mad at them. They were switching a lot, which was great. You know what I'm saying? Especially dealing with somebody like John Wall running all over the court, which this is the first game I've actually saw him where he looked like he was healthy, John Wall.
Mm-hmm.
And because the previous game, I forgot who they were playing, but it was weird. Like you would see him shoot a jump shot, and it was almost like he wasn't coming off the ground shooting a jump shot. It was one of the weirdest things ever. And when he was moving around the floor, it looked like he had a hitch in his step. He looked real slow. You know what I'm saying? But this game, it was good to see him be the John Wall that we have seen for the past couple of years. It was good seeing Bill look better than him again on the floor. But it was good, man. I mean, Russell, you would think Russell, we're so used to Russell shooting so much and whatnot, and I think he did a pretty good job this game. You know what I'm saying? The usual, I think he was 8 for 22, but you know he's going to put up shots. But he was real effective on both ends of the floor, defensive-wise, offensive rebounds, getting everybody involved. And it was good. It was good to see, man. It was really good to see.
Yeah, there's still some criticism of Russell Westbrook. A lot of people talk about his shooting percentage. And I did some a little research on Basketball Reference. And I'm realizing something. A lot of people are talking about Russell Westbrook's shooting percentage and how horrible it is and how it's horrible it's been throughout his career. Those are the same people that praise Allen Iverson. And I looked up both of them. Do you know who has the better shooting percentage overall?
Russell Westbrook.
Do you know who has the better 3-point shooting percentage?
Russell.
Yeah. So all of y'all that praise Allen Iverson, the guy who will go 5 for 40 in a game consistently. Y'all are just out here picking and choosing who y'all want to celebrate and criticize. So yeah, other news with the Wizards. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal is, for those that don't know, he's a natural hater.
Yeah,
he just be hating on people. He's been lately talking about like Donovan Mitchell, like for some reason getting on him a lot. He mentioned in a few weeks ago in an awkward interview, he's like, yeah, man, earlier in the show, I mentioned that you got to do better for me to consider you a star. And Donovan Mitchell was just kind of like, okay, I don't know what else you want. That wasn't really a question, but okay. Well, last night he said, if I had to choose between the two, between Donovan Mitchell and Russell Westbrook, I'm taking Russell Westbrook. So the rest of the panel, which had Candace Parker and Dwayne Wade, they were like, you mean like for like overall career or like this season? And Shaq was like, no, I'm still taking Russell. He's the fifth best point guard in the league. I'm still taking him. What do you think about that? Who are you taking? Are you taking Russell this year? Just off of stuff, what's going on this year?
Oh, just off of this year.
Russell or Donovan Mitchell? Man. I'm going with Donovan Mitchell if you're just going with this year.
Yeah, if you're just going with this year, I would definitely say Donovan Mitchell. He's having a career year this year. Yeah, I would definitely. If we're just going, player for player this season so far, yeah, I'll definitely go Donovan.
Yeah, I'm going with Donovan for sure. Before we get out of this segment, we got a comment from Flo. And actually, that's probably my boy Rob Harris. Thank you for tuning in. He's talking about the Washington Wizards. They approach the game like the best defense is a strong offense. That's how they approach the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
That is how they approach the game. But that's why they lose all those games. And you play a little bit of defense, you end up playing a lot better. Let's now get to our quick hitter segment. Jalen Johnson, I believe that's its name. Jalen Johnson. Let me double check the name. Are you familiar with that name, Thad?
Jalen Johnson. No.
I think that's his name. Hold on, let me double check. That just shows how much I haven't been watching college basketball. Yes, Jalen Johnson decides to opt out for the remainder of the season. With
yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He's opting out to get ready for the NBA draft. He is projected to go, I believe, sometime in the first round. Some people are calling him a quitter. Some people are saying this is not good when it comes to character. What do you think about Jalen Johnson taking a break for the remainder of his freshman year to pursue the NBA?
Look, you got to think about it. This is the way you got to think about it. This is not like college football where you have to be a player for 3 years. Yeah, you have 3 years for college football. For you to go into the NBA, you have to be a year removed from high school to become eligible for the NBA draft. Now, think about it. If Coach K, which Coach K has said multiple times, he did not want to play this season. You know what I'm saying? He did not want to play this season because of COVID. I believe Duke women's basketball, they decided to stop their season. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of understand. But then again, what's going to happen with these players? So say Duke doesn't play basketball this season. He now has to either try to go overseas and play or do something with trainers, yada, 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 to be eligible for the NBA draft. Now, I say your draft stock drops. Yeah, you might have been top whatever high school and you're projected as this for the NBA, but that one season makes a difference. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to stay the same, become a better athlete, you're going to be terrible. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what's going to happen? My problem with Jalen is you only got a few more games left and now you want to opt out. You could have opted out after like the third or fourth game and I'd have been cool with it. But you literally have gone through 75% of your season and you now decide you want to opt out. Like, why? I mean, who knows if we're going to have NCAA tournament or anything like that.
Nah, it's happening. It's happening in Indiana. Everyone's going to be in Indiana. I believe the women will be in San Antonio.
Okay. So now why are you quitting? You're essentially quitting. You're not opting out at this point. You're literally quitting on your team because Duke basketball, who we all know as national title contenders every year pretty much, this year they're having a terrible year. To Duke standards, they're having a terrible year. So it looks totally bad on you that you're quitting on your team because they are not successful. That's how I see it. I don't see it as a COVID. When people say opt out, it's usually, yeah, you know what, I'm opting out. I don't want to deal with the exposure, yada, yada, yada. That's fine and dandy. But you literally have gone through 75%, 70, 80% of your season. And now you quit on your team because they're terrible. That's literally what's going on. It has nothing to do with COVID. You can only say you want to opt out because of COVID. when the beginning of the season starts. If you go through your whole season pretty much, and now you want to opt out, you're quitting. That's all you're doing. So will it look bad to NBA execs and all that? I think to a degree it will. But they all know most of these kids, their main focus is playing in the NBA, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? They just go to school just to go to school so they can go to the NBA. I mean, these kids are not planning on getting any type of education while they're playing. You know what I'm saying? And think about a basketball season in college is only a semester. So you won't know. He could have not went to any classes this semester pretty much, and nobody would have known anything until the semester was over, you know? So it is what it is.
So I'll say this. You know how I feel about college athletics. It should not be going on during a pandemic.
Right.
So I don't think any of these players should be playing. So I had no issue with him opting out. Now you make an interesting point that I did not think about. Most of the season is done. And then also just the timing with it's now looking like Duke is not going to end up going into the NCAA tournament from what I hear.
They might not even get the NIT, bro.
I'm hearing it's not looking good for them. So it does look like the optics when you bring up that situation do not look well, but I actually do not have a problem with them doing it because, I mean, the NCAA makes too much money on them. I feel like we talk about it every week, but I don't have a problem. But you do bring up an interesting point about the timing of opting out of the season. Let's now get into our Champ and Chump of the week, where we celebrate those that do well and we criticize those that do not. Starting with you, Thad, who is your Champ of the week?
I had 2 champs of the week, y'all, and usually I only do one, but this time I gotta first of all shout out to my alma mater, DeMatha. DeMatha basketball is my first champ of the week. Them and the WCSC, which is one of the best high school basketball conferences in the nation, they decided to have a mini season. They went through everything they could in regards to COVID protocols, and had a mini season. DeMatha finished out undefeated. Final game, they played against Paul VI, another national contender out of the same conference. One of the best high school players on their team, Trevor Keels. He's good. Possibly he might be playing for Duke next year. He has a couple schools he's looking at right now. But that final game went to overtime. DeMatha senior Jordan Hawkins, he's going to be playing for Connecticut next season, hit a 3-point shot, 7 seconds left. I was watching it on Facebook Live. I lost it. I was like, yo, because I thought they were going to lose. I really thought my team was going to lose, man. I really thought they were, and he hit that 3, and it was over at that point, man. You could see all that joy of a win from Paul VI just kind of like fade, man. They went into overtime. It was a 4-minute overtime. Oh, this is another thing. This year, usually high school, 4 quarters. They decided to do 20-minute halves. For this mini season, which is a good thing because these guys are going off to college. They need 20-minute halves, so it was just perfect how they did it. And it was just great, man. It was great to have something for these kids to be exposed to, let them play, especially these seniors, man, coming in this season where they didn't know if this season was going to happen, if there's going to be any chance for, especially seniors who haven't committed to a college yet, having a way to have film for these schools to critique and figure out if they're going to offer them a scholarship or not. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of them things, man. It was just good to see it happen. Happy for DeMatha, happy for the WCC is one of the things that they were able to do for the kids because that's their main goal, is to get these kids into college, whether athletically, academically. It was just a great season that they had put together for these kids, man. And then finally, drunk Tom Brady is my champ, my other champ, man. Look, I don't know if there's any time in the past 20 years we've seen Tom Brady like celebrate a championship like this, man. All I see was a video of him throwing the Lombardi trophy across to another boat. You know what I'm saying? The whole time I'm sitting there like, yo, somebody's gonna drop this joint. They're gonna drop it, it's gonna fall in the ocean or whatever they were at. You know what I'm saying? And then seeing him getting walked away to his vehicle, you know what I'm saying? He looked like your drunk friend at the bar getting walked to the outside because you're all trying to leave, and he's that drunk one that can't walk by himself, man. And just seeing a smile on his face, I was like, yo, drunk Tom has got to be hilarious, man.
Oh man, my champ of the week has to go to all Xbox console owners. Baby, want a champ. Those who love sports, because we finally have a real baseball game to play. MLB The Show.
Wow, that's right.
Xbox for the first time. So I am getting that game April 16th. I'm getting it I'm gonna get it the early release. I think I should probably, after the show, just go and buy my copy already. And I'm gonna have it ready so I can finally play a good baseball game. I haven't played a good baseball game since MLB Baseball 2005. You remember that game?
That's your fault, though.
I mean, I had an Xbox.
You could have been playing these games, man.
I had an Xbox, man. Most of my friends have Xbox. I have an Xbox. I think when I finally get my own house, I'll just get a I'll get a PS5 and an Xbox X and just have both of them. I'm an adult now. I can afford them. Like, what's QVC? You get 6 easy payments. Come on, like, who can't? So, yes, Xbox Sports gamers. We are the champ of the week.
Are you doing the physical copy or the digital copy?
I don't know. I'm not against digital copies at all because my Xbox now is digital.
Oh, complete digital. Okay.
Yeah, it was like $175 because my old Xbox broke. So for like a few months, I just didn't have one.
That's right.
I also got one as a gift, but even as a gift, it was $175. I was like, oh yeah, like I don't have a CD-ROM. Okay, whatever. Let's now get to the chumps of the week. BigThad, who is your chump of the week?
Oh, you already know who this is. This is the Houston Texans.
Because you're a chump.
They're a dumpster fire, man. Everything about them is just been a dumpster fire ever since the final game of the season, man. It's just dumpster fire going down and down, man. I mean, just from the lack of who your star player, who your leader of your team is, like real talk, like we don't really know if Deshaun. Well, you think about it, Deshaun is technically the leader of the team because he's the starting quarterback for the team. But you can also say that JJ Watt is the leader of your team. You know what I'm saying? He's the face of the franchise. Like when you think of Houston Texans, you think of JJ Watt. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of the things, man. I'm just like, they've been my chump of the week for like the past month, man. Like, I'll keep it real with you. I mean, from their hiring, the way they did their hiring, you know, promising Deshaun a certain thing. Hey, we want you to be involved, and then he's not involved. And from that end of the game, like I said earlier, like I knew JJ was leaving, man. I don't think they had no clue that JJ would want to leave, man. And it's just been a dumpster fire, bro. Like I don't know what's going on. You jumped into an early hire of your coach, and I've heard some other people talk about it's like this organization is like a Bible community. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's like the owner, they want to be on the same page with the owner. So like so far, most of their hires have been like what they usually call them, the Bible thumpers.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
okay.
So they said some about how the coach that they hired is almost kind of like that same ideal. You know what I'm saying? So everybody that they've hired has been on the same ideal as the owners and whatnot. So I don't know, man. It's just a dumpster fire to me. The whole everything that's been going on since the end of the year has just been dumb with them. Like I don't understand it. Like I honestly think that better coaches that could have been hired to the Houston Texans, they decided they weren't going to do it. You know what I'm saying? I think they were like, nah, we don't want to be a part of this. Like, especially with the whole thing of Deshaun possibly wanting to leave or he wanted to go. And like, I think that just was icing on the cake when they heard about him. But I honestly think a lot of these coaches, especially like Eric Bieniemy, I think he just said, nah, I don't want to be part of this. I'm sorry.
That could be true. I never thought about that. That Bieniemy might have been like, I don't really care about this. My chump of the week goes to the daughter of the designer of the Super Bowl trophy.
Because you're a chump.
Oh,
You know why she's the chump of the week then?
Lombardi Karen.
Yeah, Lombardi Karen. Lombardi Linda.
Go ahead, let everybody know, man. Let everybody know.
Daughter of the gentleman who designed and built, handcrafted the Lombardi Super Bowl trophy. The daughter saw Tom Brady throwing the Super Bowl trophy, like you mentioned earlier. She said, "Oh my goodness, that is disrespectful to my father and all the men and women who handcrafted all of the Super Bowls." Da 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 da. And I'm just like, yo, this ain't about you.
Right.
It ain't about you. And if it breaks, you know what the team's gonna do? They'll buy another one.
Right.
Calm down. Like, you just want to make it all about yourself. So she is the chump of the week.
Because you're a chump.
Let's now get into our sports free zone, where we take a break from sports and discuss what's going on in pop culture. Let's start with this winter storm that's happening or that has happened in Texas. Texas got hit with a massive snow/ice storm last week. Millions of people are still out of power. There's debates on why that is the reason. My understanding is the way the power companies work in Texas, I think there's like one company or two that pretty much have the entire state.
Right.
And there's
it's kind of like BGE and Pepco here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Those two companies, like they do the state of Maryland. You know what I'm saying? So like, unlike here, I'm sure Texas, they've never had something like this before.
Yes.
So like they've had snow, you know what I'm saying? But they've never had this cold weather that they're having right now. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Along with the snow. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of that has to do with they didn't know it was coming. So like BG&E, I know for a fact with BG&E and Pepco, when these big storms happen, whether it's snow or just weather related or wind related and all that, they go ahead and contract other electrical companies from other states to come in, and they're on standby. You know what I'm saying? They're really sitting there on standby just in case something happens, you know, sure. All that good stuff. So Texas probably didn't think about that. They just whatever. But then again, on the other side is they can't get vehicles to where they need to go to take care of these electrical issues because they have no plow trucks. as many trucks in Texas, and we all seen them, all those big trucks, everybody jacked up trucks in Texas. Yeah, That's real. That's not just for show. These cats do have these trucks, but nobody got a plow truck because they don't get snow. They just don't get snow, man. Stuff like this does not happen.
So I'll say this. We know it doesn't really snow much in Texas. So having a fleet of plow trucks is not really good because of the upkeep of these trucks that you will probably use once every 10 years.
Right.
I do believe maybe in a state like Texas and in the Southwest, maybe they need to have multi-purpose vehicles.
Right.
That you then can add your plows to them and the salt or sand or brine machines to disperse the ingredients to fight the ice and the snow. Maybe that's what they have to do instead of actually having traditional plow trucks.
I mean, I'm sure they got 4-wheelers or whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they got to do something.
They got stuff like that. But I think when it comes to, if they get like a foot or two of snow, like those 4-wheelers and stuff ain't gonna be a bit. They can be helpful. You know what I'm saying? So it's like who I don't even know if they even sell plows in the plows that attach to pickup trucks in Texas. Do they even do that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. You gotta ask your sister because she actually lived down there for a while. I don't know, but the storm has also become very political. You have pretty much liberals, mentioning how things would have been better if we actually used less, or if we used renewable energy. Then you have those who are on the non-renewable side, which is a lot of people in Texas because oil is huge.
Right.
Oil is still a thing and stuff like that. So you have those individuals like, well, you see, we switched over to renewable energies and it's not even enough for us to power through. You have natural gas that has frozen over like through the pipes. So there's been a lot going on with that. I believe 24 people have died already.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they don't got no electricity, heat. The temperatures are low. They even said at one point, like, if you have power, make sure you not do stuff with your electricity. So don't go washing clothes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? That uses up electricity because most likely you're going to lose it. Mm-hmm. But a friend of mine lives in Texas, and she was Target. Here, if we lost power and Target lost power, the store would be closed.
Yeah.
She's literally Instagram videoing her in a Target in Texas. And she's literally shopping in Target with no lights on because the Target's still open. I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, they're literally shopping in these stores with no power just because. And so I think it was the next day I saw another picture and somebody was saying, yeah, wait, I'm in the line for the grocery store. And the mile, you would have thought that it was here in Maryland seeing these lines, when everything first with COVID. You see the lines because it was like 1 or 2 in, 1 or 2 out. You know what I'm saying? Nah, there's a line going to the grocery store, even a Rite Aid, where it's going around the corner because people are going to get stuff. Mm-hmm. Because they're not like here where we just go and, hey, we got a storm coming. We're going to get a bunch of toilet paper and all that stuff. Nah, they literally one day it was 60 degrees, nice weather. The next day it's 20, 30 degrees outside and a couple inches of snow. And they're like, what? And they ain't never had this before.
Yeah, that's wild. Crazy. That is wild. So yeah, man, we got to pray for those individuals down there. Yeah. They said a lot of people aren't even a lot of people just might die just because of no heat. Getting so cold out there. Mm-hmm. Me, the cynic, I was kind of like, well, at least COVID cases may drop. In those areas, you ain't gonna be out and about. But then my mom made an interesting point. She said you may see some COVID cases go up. Yeah. You may see it go up because individuals who have power are then going to have people over who don't. and then that may happen. So we'll have to wait and see about that. Other news outside of sports. Let's get to this entrapment trial. Trump impeachment trial. You know, he he got lucky.
Don't be rude.
Trump got impeached for the second time. This time,
acquitted again.
Acquitted. Yes, acquitted for the second time. Correction, and I think 7 Republicans actually voted to impeach him, to convict him. I mean, but because of the 50-50 split between Democrats and Republicans, they needed to be 17, and that did not happen. So he scot-free again. Didn't we predict this last week, Thad?
Oh yeah, we definitely did. You know what I'm saying? We knew it was going to happen. Like even our cousin Rich said, you know what I'm saying? It's like it was almost a waste of time because we knew how the vote was going to go. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't going to be any impartial voting going on except those 7. You know what I'm saying? But we knew how it was going to go. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's real waste of time more than anything.
Gorilla Glue girl. It's been an update. What was the update, Thad?
She got the glue off, y'all.
Yep. Black plastic surgeon from Beverly Hills. Yeah. Apparently, he was the first black plastic surgeon to ever be in Beverly Hills. Ultimately, got her hair freed of the Gorilla Glue. She had a video. What did she say in the video, Thad?
Mm-hmm. She literally said in the video that she couldn't believe that people thought she did it on purpose or thought that she was stupid to do it. And she literally said to I think it was Entertainment Tonight host, said to her, like, I was in a rush. I was in a rush, ladies. I can't believe, it's so hilarious to me because she's like, I was in a rush, so I just put it in my hair. And I planned on taking it out like a couple days later or something like that. And when she decided to try to take it out, it was like, nope, it's not going to happen. And she just surprised. She was like, I only put it on TikTok to get help. She said she put the video on TikTok
of all things
for help, not for it to go viral.
You know what you do then? First of all, not TikTok. But if you want to put it on social media to reach more people, make it a private post so you can dictate who sees it instead of putting it in public. Like, come on. You're too old for this. Mind you, she's talking way too much for someone that's contemplating litigation against Gorilla Glue.
Right,
like I said last week, if she gets money, kudos to her, but she's talking way too much because I don't think it's going to happen now. I don't think it's going to happen. Britney Spears documentary came out last week, framing Britney. I believe the New York Times documented the conservatorship. Thad explained to the viewers and listeners what a conservatorship is.
So, in usual terms, mind you, folks, conservatorship is usually what you do when, like, you have a family member who is sick. Most of the times, it's almost kind of like how most people have will and testaments and all that, and all that good stuff. So conservatorship is more of like if your family member has mental issues and they can't control their own lives and handle their own finances and everything that's going on with their lives, someone else, could be a family member, lawyer, all that good stuff, can basically take care of your whatever you have. So your assets, your businesses, all that good stuff, anything that pertains to you, that conservatorship makes sure that everything happens for you towards your benefit. So that's what Britney Spears has. As Britney Spears, as we know her, her father is her conservatorship. You know, so it was, and it all started back when she first had that first mental breakdown of shaving her head and all that stuff. Went after the kids, all that good stuff, and all that they bring up Justin Timberlake and their relationship and how she was vilified because of their breakup and all that. And then her marriage to Kevin Federline and their turmoil and all that. And they even go through like how Britney started and all that. Now, mind you, ladies and gentlemen, there's only, if I remember correctly, there was maybe 2 or 3 people that were in the documentary that had been with Britney since like the beginning stages of her career.
Yep.
So
a road manager
who was like her personal assistant, but they had weird titles, you know what I'm saying, for the longest time. So it was just wild seeing that side of it. And we all kind of had issues with her father anyways, because he was never really part of the whole thing prior to now. Like her beginning stages of career, he wasn't there. It was her mother and her personal assistant, and he was just off working and being drunk and all that good stuff. And then now all of a sudden, like mom's is nowhere to be found, and pops is conservatorship, like running her life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and don't get me wrong, they even say that she's made more money now with being under this conservatorship, but they said that like she's working nonstop. You know what I'm saying? She had that big residency in Vegas and a tour and all this. And then finally the second residency she was going to have, they had a big celebration to announce it and all that. And I don't know if you remember, you know, that dude, Kalen?
I don't know him, but I saw him in the documentary. I'm like, oh, this is a little extra. Like the way he's extra. Like he was excited to like, oh, Britney's coming out. Da, 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 da. And then explain what happened then.
And then she literally came out. Everybody's waiting for an announcement. She literally comes out, walks down the steps. Everybody's waiting for her to like talk or say hi to the crowd or anything like that. And she just keeps on walking, bro. Like it was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a documentary, but think about it. Think about you going there to wait for your favorite artist to make a big announcement. And that artist comes out from backstage, literally walks down steps, walks right past you into their vehicle and drives off. Says nothing at all. And right then and there, they said like, yo, Britney's like, she's done. You know what I'm saying? Like she's done with this conservatorship because everything that she's been doing for the past couple of years has been run by this conservatorship.
Yeah.
You know with her father and all that. So they talk about the case that's going on now and how her father basically is like Britney, because to get out of a conservatorship, that person, so like Britney, she literally has to be like, go to the judges and be like, hi, I'm Britney Spears. I want my life back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want all my assets back. I want to run my life. And you have to have just cause and have facts to show that you can take care of your own self and that these people are doing bad things to your life and how they're running things and all that. So it's just wild, bro. Like I understood what was going on because they even had a lawyer on there talking about, usually this happens with older folks, older folks, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody in like 60s, 70s that may have some type of issues or whatever. And they have so much assets and estate going on that they need somebody to run these things. You know what I'm saying? So it was just wild seeing this. But she said, she's like, out of all the conservative cases that she's been involved with, that conservator T, like that Britney is, they said that they never get out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They've never won that case. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she's now on Britney's staff of lawyers. But
well, actually, she's now father's side. Did you catch that?
No, I thought they said she was on Britney's side.
Oh, shortly after they recorded that segment, they were like they had an update. It was just like, yeah, she's now on the father's side.
Jeez.
Okay.
Because her mom has her own set of lawyers now.
Yeah.
She's the third. So it's like Britney's lawyer and staff, Pop's lawyer staff, and now her mother lawyer staff, and the judge. And I don't know if you know who the judge is because you watched the show. So the show Insecure.
Yeah.
That you watch, the creator of Insecure,
the
judge is his mom.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just like all crazy, bro. The whole it's some wild stuff, dude. It's crazy. I still don't get it. Like I still kind of want to watch it again just to like get some more stuff out of it. But it's just weird to me, man. I don't think we see something like that happen to us though.
At first I didn't know what you meant. I was like, oh man. So yes, you mentioned the whole thing about how Britney went through her mental breakdown with everything. I'm not going to even rehash all of that, but ultimately, Britney made the decision to be part of this.
Yeah.
That was the sad mistake, and that's the thing. Sometimes people make mistakes that can end up being very detrimental. At the time, Britney probably knew, no, I am not stable, so I do need assistance.
Right.
Not thinking that her father was literally going to hold this over her for the rest of her life. So that's the problem. You know,
because they can't, like her father, he just can't give it up. That's the thing. Like, like regardless, like say he had no ill plans towards her or whatever. Like once this thing is in place, like he just can't give it up. You know what I'm saying? He can't say, hey, I'm not going to be this. The whole process of that thing has to only go through her to get herself out of it. Like they can't, like you can leave as the head of that whole conservatorship. You can leave as that, but the conservatorship still stays.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just wild, bro. Like, and now that she got a bank involved, so the bank is like 50%, and her father's the other 50%, but mom's just trying to whatever. Yeah, it's crazy, bro. Man.
and documentary came out last week, and then obviously a case was actually last week.
Yeah.
As Britney Spears' battle to remove her father's conservatorship over her estate continued Thursday, as a judge denied her father's objections to how her conservatorship will be delegated. And I have a feeling that has to deal with the bank. It says Britney Spears filed a petition with the court last year to remove her father and to place a financial institution as the sole conservator over her estate. Her attorney, Samuel D. Ingram III, argued last year that the singer was afraid of Jamie Spears and would rather a professional financial institution take over the estate. The Los Angeles Supreme Court Judge Brenda Penny denied the singer's petition last year, but appointed Bessemer Trust as a co-conservator with James Spears. So it looks like now the father, based on what this thing said, there's some objections that the father brought up, and I guess it's because of the financial institution being part of it. He probably wanted to basically get them out. And and they're like, no, the financial institution should still have a say in this. We have more.
You know why?
Why?
And real quick, this is the reason why. He gets a percentage of the profit that her estate makes.
Yes.
Under this conservatorship. So of course, like you telling me that you're gonna bring in this financial institution So they are whatever. So that takes out of my percent. You know what I'm saying? That takes out of that money that I'm getting myself from the estate. Like the estate is making profit.
Mhm.
And they literally have made this thing an organization. Like this conservatorship is literally an organization on top of her estate. You know what I'm saying? and this is like totally new. You know what I'm saying? This is literally totally new compared to the usual use cases of conservatorship. It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. One thing that someone mentioned in the documentary was every time they go to trial, because it's Britney basically filing for a case, Britney has to pay for her attorneys and has to pay for the father's attorneys from her money that he has access to already, which is so crazy. So yeah, we're probably gonna get a lot more out of that. Now, Justin Timberlake was part of it real quick, and so when the documentary came out, you know, he got a lot of heat, and he should have, because you're finding out more that maybe Britney didn't even cheat on him, that it's just something else that could have happened, and obviously Justin blew up because of that. Like, that was right when the solo career was starting, and he drops, you know, what was the song again?
Cry Me a River,
Cry Me a River, and all of it.
Yo, look, to this day, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. All right. I don't care about her feelings. None of that. I don't care at all. That video was the most savage and most petty thing that anybody could ever do in their life. And it was the greatest video I've ever seen in my life. That was great.
Yeah, it was a great video, great song.
Like he had Shorty look exactly like Britney. Like when you looked at it, you were like, hold up, Britney's in the video too? Can't believe that. And he looked and it was like, oh, that's not Britney, but it's damn close. Like, yo, I can't believe this dude. Yeah, savage and petty. I love it.
So he issued an apology for how he treated Britney and Janet Jackson.
Because he pulled a titty out.
Because he ain't defend her when it all went down. I mean, remember Janet went on Oprah after that situation, was like, look, it was planned, but it didn't go the way it was supposed to go, and Justin just kind of left me to take all the heat. And that's exactly what happened. So now he's issued an apology. You know, the cancel culture is gonna try and get him. And he's gonna have a time where things ain't gonna be too well, but you know, he should be able to bounce back.
Oh yeah, he's gonna put out another album and be fine.
Yeah, another acoustic album out there, wearing flannel shirts and lumberjack.
Yeah. Hey, don't hate. That album was nice. I don't care what you say.
I didn't listen to it. So
see, there you go. You saw the album cover. You saw the album cover again.
I'm not listening to it. He did that halftime show. I was like, I'm not listening to this, because that was right. So he did the halftime show, the Super Bowl with that was in Minnesota, with Patriots and Eagles,
right?
And the album was coming out that Tuesday or Sunday.
So, yeah.
So, and I was just like, I'm not listening to this thing. If you're gonna play this song at the Super Bowl and it not be a hit, the rest of the album's probably trash. Now you're saying it's good, maybe. I don't know.
It's fire.
Real quick before we get out of this segment, I think one of the most hyped songs in pop hip hop history is "Suit and Tie" by Justin Timberlake. That song is not good. It's not good.
You're killing me.
It's not that good. It's just because they were talking about wearing suits and ties in an era where suits and ties were not a thing. And, you know, just like Tom Ford, like, okay, Tom Ford, yeah, cool. Like, the cologne smells like piss. Like, that's so I don't like, come on. Like, but because it's Jay-Z, who's one of my favorite rappers, but because it's them, you know, it must be the thing. And everyone started to wear suit and ties to go to the club, suit and ties to go to school, like, and all that, all because of that song. It's a terrible song, man. Anyway, That'll wrap it up here for our sports free zone. Let's now get to our last segment of the show, Black History in Sports. This week, I had to get some assistance from my boy, Pat Crary. He is the athletic director and the head men's basketball coach for Washington Adventist University. Every week, he has been, not every week, I'm sorry, every day, he's been putting up different posts about Black people within Black culture that have contributed to American culture. And some of them are in sports, but in others are in technology and music, politics, yada, yada, yada. Well, I got some information from him, so I want to give a shout out to Coach Pat, Coach PC2 on Instagram. He had a post the other day, spoke about Alice Coachman. Alice Coachman reached her new heights at the 1948 London Games when she became the first Black woman to win an Olympic medal in the high jump. Her winning jump clocked in at the time, which was really good at the time, 5 feet 6 1/8 inches, and King Third the Sixth presented her the medal. In 1952, Coachman was signed by Coca-Cola, making her the first Black woman athlete to endorse a consumer product.
Wow,
that's pretty good. And then one last post that he had was about the Negro League Baseball. Back in the day, because of segregation, Blacks couldn't play in baseball. And I'm going to read what he has in his post. It says, Negro League Baseball got its start thanks to the increasing popularity of two things after the Civil War: baseball and, unfortunately, segregation. The National Association of Amateur Baseball Players rejected African American membership in 1867, and in 1876, owners of the Professional National League adopted a gentleman's agreement to keep Black players out. Subsequent African American players found their greatest opportunities with traveling teams until 1920, when Rube Foster launched a Negro National League. Reformulated several times with new leagues and owners, Negro League Baseball enjoyed periods of success in the early 1920s and again after the Great Depression. However, Jackie Robinson's integration of baseball in 1947 prompted a slow but irreversible influx of talent to the majors, and the remaining Negro League teams generally folded by the 1960s. So yes, some news about Black history in sports. Real quick before we end the show, we mentioned about Jackie Robinson. Obviously broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball. It was a great thing. Opened up opportunities that became more lucrative for more African American baseball players. Ultimately, though, it did kill the Negro League.
right.
And I'm not saying the Negro League would be in existence in 2021, because eventually, people wouldn't have been cool with that anyway. But it's kind of like integration. We had to get integration, but then it eroded some of the successes of the Black community. Like, a lot of HBCUs took a hit because of integration. So it's one of those, just kind of like, I'm of the impression right now that yes, we need integration, but at the same time, for my son, my wife and I have already said he's going to an HBCU for undergrad. So even though he has the opportunity to go to a PWI, you're going to go to an HBCU for at least your undergrad. And I think that's what a lot of Black people now in America are already thinking, like our age, who have kids that aren't going to college yet. They're like, you know what? We need to really push Black institutions just to get it back to the level that it should be. What do you think about that?
I think it's one of those things where it's like we're seeing in sports now when it comes to these college athletes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these top players are like, hey, we're going to go to a HBCU, whether it's like Howard or NCAA, North Carolina A&T, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So they're really pushing to make HBCUs a equal playing field to these bigger universities. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the start of it. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of folks that like I went to DeMatha or with our sister school Seton and all that have went to HBCUs, been just as successful as other counterparts to other students that we went to school with, where they went to regular universities and all that, and it had the same success. And I think it's taken a long time for that to happen. Like me, when I was looking at colleges, I never once looked at an HBCU. I don't know if it was ignorance to me on my side, or it was just my parents, how I was raised, where you try to leave that out. You know what I'm saying? Where it's pro black or pro this or whatever. You know what I'm saying? My parents are always been the ones who were like, hey, they would inform me and bring to my attention certain things, where racial things, you know what I'm saying, where it came to make sure that I see this, like this is going on. Like it was always like whenever I left the house, it was, hey, we've talked about this before. Like, what are you supposed to do when you get pulled over by a police officer? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yo, make sure do you have this? Make sure you have this. Make sure this is in plain view, not somewhere hidden where you have to reach and whatever. You know what I'm saying? And you know my parents, how they are. You know what I'm saying? We're in like our family. We have one of the most diverse families I know. You know what I'm saying? Throughout the board. So it's like that we were always brought to our attention of certain things, but it wasn't ever key to pull the race card. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, hey, when it came to college, it was, hey, see what you like, to see what you want to do, and then see what colleges have it. You know what I'm saying? So with me, I never had that push to go HBCU. Other friends of mine, like their parents went to HBCUs. So most likely they were definitely applying to HBCUs, but if they got into like a Florida or Catholic University or something like that, that option was there also for them. But most of the time they did go to the HBCU because of their parents. Their parents went, or other family members. So I can't remember if we have any family members that went HBCUs or not.
In our of our cousins group, I would have to say it would no. We don't.
I think the closest may be Temple, and Temple's not an HBCU, but
it's so funny. People think it's HBCU.
You know what I'm saying? Temple's got to be the closest school to be an HBCU that's not an HBCU.
That is because people just thought it was a HBCU. Yeah. I mean, we have our cousin Kathy and Chris who went to Howard. They are technically our second cousins, but we love them as if like we're just so cool with them that it feels like they're first cousins. And I'm trying to think of, I can't really think of anyone else who went to an HBCU. So yeah, it's going to take our generation to try and do that. And I think not just our family. I just think, especially everything that's going on in this country, you're seeing a lot of people who are really like, you know what? When it comes to higher education, we need to not only educate our children within Black institutions, but the more of us who do it, the more resources those institutions get. And we're always going to be behind PWIs because of just history. They've had a 400-year head start. We're going to be behind them, but I think we can be a lot better.
And the thing is also, especially people that are probably watching this and whatnot, Do not think because it's just a HBCU that you have to be black to go to these institutions.
Perfect.
These institutions have some of the quality education that you could get from a same just like a Ohio State or a Notre Dame or University of Maryland and all that. So don't feel, check them out. Like don't pull it off to the side. I know there's a stigma with HBCUs and whatnot, but just remember, like, this is a education institution. You know what I'm saying? They're just as good. Like, definitely check it. Some of them probably have programs that you would have never thought of that your child may be interested in that they can't get at a University of Maryland or Ohio State. A lot of these research, quote unquote, research universities. You know what I'm saying? So don't be scared. Like, definitely check it out. This is for everybody. Like, yeah, it's called a historically black college. Who cares?
Yeah,
You know
it's called that because
of
what it did to
exactly.
It's
exactly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, hey, if anything you want to see or whatever, go watch Drumline or whatever, and go check it out. You know what I'm saying? Watch Drumline to get an idea, and don't forget, like, if you looked into Drumline and all that, there was a lot of white kids that were in that HBCU. You know what I'm saying? A lot of kids that played in that band. You know what I'm saying? So don't be scared. Hey, treat it like every other university, man. That's how it changes. That's how everything changes with these universities. Treat them like the same. They'll treat you the same, pretty much.
Yeah, man. And now that I think about it, my brother's at Howard right now. I forgot he's doing his master's, so that's why I forgot. But yeah, he's at Howard right now. So that's, I guess, the only other person right now that's at an HBCU. Before we get out of here, I want to thank you, Thad, for everything that you do.
Thank you, Cousin.
Give a shout out to those who are actually on the live stream right now. Shout out to Jacaro, who was checked in with us a couple times. Check him out on Facebook, Jacaro Realtor on Facebook, and also on Instagram. We have Jacaro Real Estate. Also give a shout out to Sir Drip Lord. He said, "In Judge we trust." And his head coach, Joe Judge, he's a Giants fan.
Get this Bama. Why are you giving this Bama a light right now?
Just laughing because he has the OVO logo.
Terrible.
Oh man! Shout out to OSS 980 with Harold D, Jeff, Aaron. I was on their episode for this week. Check them out. Subscribe to them. Shout out to Soggy Nachos, What You Expect podcast. 4th and 13. Check them out. Also, our businesses: Ming Raina's Doll Parts, Eat the City, DC, Sandbox, Trezzo Beach. Our faithful listeners out there. I hit up Clay, super random, on Saturday night. Like, yo, what are your thoughts on this conservative not conservative judge, this Supreme Court justice? Randomly, he hit me up and told me about what's going on with that. So yeah, I always say Clay is the unofficial legal analyst for the sports reality. So yeah. Oh man, like I said,
don't forget, good shout out to Matt, man.
Yep.
Big Matt, we miss you, bro.
For sure, man. For sure. Can't wait for you to return to the podcast. Want to thank everyone once again for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast where podcasts are available. That includes Anchor, Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Twitch, our Facebook group, and all other major podcast platforms. Thad, once again, for everything that you do.
No doubt, cousin.
Until next time, everyone. Sports reality. Peace.
Peace.